But I was like dancing around and, Jerry Lee Lewising, hitting the piano with my foot. And
Oh, my
Whoa.
God. You can't do that, can you?
I can.
You can play like Great Balls of Fire with your feet?
Yeah, 100%.
What?
Why do you think I do yoga?
Do you really? Can you really do Great Balls of Fire with your feet?
Yeah.
That we gotta please.
I'm
Can
not
you
going to do it
that?
on any of these keyboards because these are all fragile.
Can you do that at some point for us on this podcast? And do you have a keyboard you can do that on?
Let's see if we can do the one downstairs later.
That's amazing. That is very cool. Can we burn it too, like Jerry?
I mean, if you want to buy me a new piano.
Yeah, well, no, I don't.
I really want a Yamaha U5.
All right, fine. I'll get it.
I
for
got distracted with Anthony's noise.
It's not rocket science.
Not rocket science. Science. Not rocket science.
It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science.
5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Blast off. Welcome to Not Rocket Science. And today we're in the studio with the genius, the incredible, the masterful Alexander Burke. And he is a composer. He's a producer. He's also a magician. He's not a magician. He's a musician, not a magician.
But I like magic. Go to the Magic Castle whenever I can.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's incredible. He's also a musical director. He's worked with musicians like Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, Gloom, several other magicians, not musicians. Musicians. My brain is broken today. But no, he's incredible. He's the best. He also composes for movies and TV, which is super cool, like Iron Man 3. And he's worked with Dane Cook. Here he is, Alexander Burke.
Well, also, and thank you, which we haven't officially said, he, most importantly, one of his biggest career moves was doing the podcast theme song for us.
Of course,
Yeah, not rocket science.
yeah.
So we do apologize for not thanking you officially, but now you have been thanked officially.
You always thank me in the credits.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
For
thank
every
you.
episode.
Yeah, that's what Matty told you, but I haven't seen a credit yet. But it's so nice to see you, and thank you so much for having us in your lovely studio / home. And just look under for his address right under, and we'll tell you that right away. And free parties anytime you want.
My doors are made of glass, so very easy to come in anytime you want.
Yes.
If I'm not home.
Okay.
I almost shrank this backwards, by the way.
And we wanted to get your social security number if you could write that
I
down.
have it.
You have
You don't have to worry about that. I'll put that right under his address.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Does share many numbers with my phone number.
Yeah, you're incredible. We're so lucky to be able to interview you, Alexander Burke. First of all, let's kind of talk.
I never hear my full name unless I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I don't know
was
why
like,
he keeps saying that. It's
trying
scary.
to figure out what I did wrong,
Yeah,
which
but
is a lot.
But we don't call you Matholomew. Isn't that your full name, Matholomew?
Yeah,
Matholomew Rightwood Cardaroples.
you forgot about the Bethlehem part.
Yeah, that
That's
is
my
true.
middle
I
name.
forgot about that.
So many questions about your family lineage.
Yeah.
First off, just to let you know the comfortability Alex has around us. I've known him longer than Matty. We used to live in
What was it, a
Chicago.
competition or what?
Well, we lived in Chicago together
friendship is a
at the same
competition.
time. And we have very good times together.
When I met you, I could not grow facial hair, and now I've whitened my beard. So
you look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So it's
Are
been
you
that
proud,
long.
Anthony?
yeah. Well, I knew when I first met him, I was like, this man will never grow facial hair. And now look at you.
I grew it out of spite. Purely spite. You
can't-
motivated
I see
me.
glue on that thing.
I can't grow facial hair either.
Yeah.
What's the
You have-
secret,
you
buddy?
Have stubble.
I do, but it takes for. What's the secret?
Lack of sleep and a lot of coffee.
Nice.
I think letting it go. Just do it. I think you have
do
to
it.
put yourself.
Would you like me with a beard?
Well, I don't know. You do whatever you want, but I think if you want to do facial hair, you should just let it go for a while,
Just
right?
let it go.
Yeah. When I first grew a beard, I was so dumb that I just used scissors to cut it because I didn't realize.
Oh, that's funny.
Just normal like house scissors to try to get all even, because it didn't realize you could get shaving apparatus.
Yeah, right.
It's very dumb.
Well, when we're young, we don't know what's going on. I had a hard time. I think I had a weird, probably looked like a psychopath beard when I was in high school. Just like one of those really thin mustache beards, thinking I was cool, and everyone was like, probably this guy's a nightmare. And I used to wear track suits because I thought I was Eminem or something. So I was just
I mean,
probably
you
looked
sound like you're fashion forward.
I
Because now
know.
that's what everyone's doing.
I know. That is true, actually.
So how did you all meet? You and Alex?
Improv
Alexander
class.
Burke
Improv class, I believe.
in Chicago.
But we also knew each other because my roommates at the time, he produced the music for this group, Dolphins of Damnation,
Nice.
Yeah.
who, shout outs to them. I don't know.
Are they still
No, I don't-
They're
damnation?
They're still friends.
still,
I don't think
still
they're.
damned, still friends.
Yeah.
But
But I don't know if they're still intact. And I lived with all of them, actually. That is so
You lived
funny.
with Alex
Except
too?
you-
No,
except
I didn't
Kimmy
live with
Kapanik.
Alex. What?
you didn't live with Kimmy Kapanik.
I did not. Oh, yes. I didn't even know. The funny thing is, I lived with the others, but I never even really met Kimmy.
She's a real person.
Yeah. I knew she was, but I lived with Sean, and that was the last one I lived with.
What's it like living with a dolphin? Were they pretty nice? Or?
Oh, boy. They were something else. Adam and Ted were shirtless half the time. Sean's goth, leather pants, Ouija boards with swords.
Also, they were shirtless in most of the sketches too. By the way, I tried to be shirtless once, and I was told that I was neither too skinny nor too fat for it to be funny.
Oh my God!
Oh,
So
yeah.
you're just right. It was just normal.
Yeah.
Which is really funny. It's just like just a normal
They're
thing.
like you're very average Bill. There's no comedy here.
Yeah.
Did you live with the dolphins? Or?
No, he didn't live with us.
I met them in my dorm room.
Okay.
There was a improv club in college. I was very cool.
Columbia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we had an improv club. I'm like, obviously, I'm going to join that.
Nice.
And,
It's funny.
Adam was in it. I believe Ted and Kimmy were teaching it, and maybe Sean.
Sean was the goth, so he was kind of the recluse of the group. So I don't know where. I don't know. I don't remember him going to college. But
mean-
he did. They all worked at Second City as well as the box office and all
Yeah.
that.
Noise. Well, this isn't a podcast on dolphins, so
They wish.
let's transition.
We're bringing the group back.
questions. So you started out as a lover of the Casio keyboard. I read that you learned on the Casio keyboard. Is this
I did.
true?
Casio is still in my closet.
It's here in
Yes,
your
it's
closet.
here.
Oh my
The original,
gosh.
the first one?
So the original one got lost.
Yeah.
I left it with a friend who stopped paying for his storage space.
Oh, God.
But I
What?
Yeah, I immediately bought another one of the exact same one and then pretended like it never happened.
Oh, that's funny.
Much like
Is this the first time it's come out?
this is the first time I've admitted
You've
to
heard it here, folks. First, yeah. Wow. All right. Cool. That's awesome. So you learned on. So tell us about that. What was your interest in music and yeah.
Yeah, when did you first start getting into music? Was it like 6 years old or junior high school?
So I was 10 years old.
Wow.
And my next door neighbor, who I looked up to because he was 12, was playing piano. I wanted to be like one of the big kids and play piano too. And my piano teacher said I should be a professional musician. I was talented. I just said, okay.
Wow.
And then I never thought about doing anything else.
Wow.
So at 10 years old, you got a piano teacher, and your teacher was just like, you're going to be professional. That's so great.
that is great.
She was Neil Diamond's arranger.
Is that true?
Yeah.
What?
And so any song that I wanted to do, she just so happened to, it was random. But she still taught kids for like $20 an hour. It wasn't some fancy teacher because she just enjoyed teaching. And
Wow.
Kathy Hawes, who's amazing. And she, whatever song I wanted to learn, she would just write out basic charts for me. And I found
That's
out
amazing.
recently, I was a kind of prodigy Edith Savant person. She had to start practicing again to keep up with me.
When you were that young?
When I was like 14,
Wow.
all I did was play 24 hours. I remember my parents screaming at me at 3 in the morning to stop playing piano because I would keep them up all night long. And at that point we bought a real piano, but they said, just please play the digital piano. I'm like, no, I need to hear the real piano. You don't understand the difference.
It doesn't sound the same. Yeah.
Little known fact, it was always the opening to the Cheers theme, right?
Yeah.
Dun, 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 24 hours a day.
I did it.
Sometimes you want to...
I remember because I wanted to learn the score for Phantom of the Opera, so that's why they lost their mind.
That's really cool, though.
The opening of Phantom of the Opera, 3 in the morning, multiple times.
One of my first... Do you know Lily Allison? You know Lily Allison, right?
I know the name.
She's a Chicago girl, and I was going to go. She invited me to the Phantom of the Opera, and I wasn't into musicals at all, and I was like, yeah, it's just going to be hilarious. And then I went, and I was like, this is a delight. You know, and I loved every second of it, but I remember thinking, oh, this is going to be a funny little jokey thing, and then I just fell in love with it. It is a great musical. Have you seen
amazing.
it?
I don't think I have seen it. I've seen Nutcracker.
Nutcracker?
Yeah.
Not Broadway, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Also, that was what happened to me for Dolly Parton.
The singer?
Yeah, no interest in going, didn't want to go. Friend of mine was like, you have to go. I'm like, she's a legend. I'll see it. No interest. Thought everyone in the audience was being so over the top excited. And then from the first song, just sobbing.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
she's
Great
delightful.
show.
Wow. I got to see this.
She's delightful.
Highly recommend.
I've been to Dollywood.
Worth it?
100% worth it.
Yeah.
So you're playing piano. When was your first like professional gig where you started getting paid for doing music?
So there were two things that kind of happened back to
Yeah.
back. So I was born in L.A., grew up in Orange County.
Noise.
And, yeah, it's okay.
By the way, Maddie, this noise thing is new, right? Is that a new catchphrase you're working on?
No,
I've heard it, but it's becoming a lot.
It's too much?
Yeah, well, no, it's not too much, but it's clear that you're working on something. Noise. He says it a couple times a year, but now this interview, there's been a lot of noise. I know there's something
I
brewing.
feel comfortable with you guys.
Aw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
So
You're
I'm
working on a new catchphrase. I don't know. I don't want to bag on you, but it's true. You are.
I mean, I like it. So far, the
Yeah,
split.
noise. Noise.
Yeah, so there were two things that happened back to back.
Noise.
Yeah, it was. This place called Irvine Spectrum opened up, which is essentially Irvine's like
Noise.
Yeah, we
up,
see you
Anthony.
Universal City Walk. We will try to beat you. And they had open auditions for musicians, and I auditioned and got the gig.
Nice. Noise.
So you know,
Now I can't stop.
no.
I swear to God, that was not a joke.
it might not be a catchphrase, but a disease.
You have the noise disease. Okay.
So you auditioned. How old were you?
14.
14. And
Yeah.
what were the other age ranges from was it like?
30 and up.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is it just mostly professional? Like,
Yeah.
And you were just some kid.
But I was like dancing around and Jerry Lee Lewising, hitting the piano with my foot and.
Oh my
Whoa.
God! You
Yeah.
can't do that, can you?
I can.
You can play You can play like Great Balls of Fire with your feet.
Yeah, 100%. Why do you think I do yoga?
Do you really? Can you really do Great Balls of Fire with your feet?
Yeah.
That we gotta please.
I mean, I'm
Can
not
you
going to
do
do it
that?
on any of these keyboards because these are all fragile.
Can you
synthesizers.
do that
yeah,
at some
yeah.
point for us on this podcast? And do you have a keyboard you can do that on?
Let's see if we can do the one downstairs later.
That's amazing. That is very cool. Can we burn it too, like Jerry?
I mean, if you want to buy me a new piano.
Yeah, well, no, I don't.
I really
So-
want a Yamaha U5.
All right, fine. I'll get it.
I
for you.
got distracted with Anthony's noise. So,
So
what was the gig? What was
so-
the job?
I was just playing at a mall.
At a mall.
But like
That's
essentially
really cool.
the Universal City Walk. But the real big gig I got was, speaking of Jerry Lee Lewis, I went to go see him play live because I was a huge fan because I like to kick pianos. And I was the only other person besides this other kid trying to get backstage to meet him. That other kid was Drake Bell, who had just got on the Amanda Show.
Oh wow!
And then
Whoa.
one thing led to another. We're like, let's do a band. So I wound up joining his band. and I played on Nickelodeon, Nick Awards, the Palladium. We played like kind of all over together. It was called Drake 24/7.
I did not know that. That's so cool.
Yeah, I found some footage of us actually on the Amanda Show, so you could see me like 15 playing organ and rock stuff on that. And
I loved that show, by the way.
really
She was
cool.
very, very funny.
yeah.
And they paid good rates back then, and like, were you like, wow, I'm a rich kid? Like,
I mean,
what was
I
going
was
through your
making
mind? Yeah.
like we weren't making crazy money, but maybe like $300 a show.
Wow.
You know,
a lot of
500
money.
a show, which when you're
When you're that
you're
age, when you're 15, that's a
That's
lot
a lot of
cash.
money.
yeah, that's you're a millionaire. Like I peaked financially at 15,
Yeah, and how many shows did you do then? You kept going and
like
going
2
and
a
going?
month.
Two
but,
a
you
month,
know,
yeah, 600 a
really-
month.
you
That's
know.
rent.
Yeah,
My gosh.
$1,000 a month for 6 hours of work.
That's 15-year-old rent right there.
So
I remember
so,
my parents were trying to get me to get a job to teach me responsibility, and just being like, I'm not going to work for $12 an hour.
We're
I
not
can
working
do-
at Cold Stone.
I can do this.
Did you ever get slimed?
I hit my dad in the face with a pie once.
No, like
No,
at
at
Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
The green.
Did you
No,
get
I
slimed?
never
Did you? Oh, I love
But
it.
yeah, I got to do Double Dare on tour where I hit my dad with a pie, but I didn't get.
Oh, you
slimed.
were on Double Dare.
on tour,
That's
not
so
on
cool.
TV, but it was one of the highlights of my
Oh.
childhood.
That's so great.
Wow.
It's so cool to grow up in LA, isn't it? Or when you can go, you meet a guy at a mall, and the next thing you know, you're playing on the Amanda Show, and
And I just thought that was normal. Like, oh, you start a band and you're on TV, and that's normal, and that's how things happen. And
So
then,
that's so cool. At what mall were you playing at?
so it was the Spectrum,
What kind of like music? Like just
Phantom of the Opera.
just Phantom
at
of
the
Opera?
mall. Is that true? That is a funny mall thing.
I
Like,
mean,
is that guy playing the Phantom of the Opera? Those
Why is he
I-
playing it? Why is he playing it over and over again?
I was So this is the weirdest thing
Why
that
is
I
that kid
did
singing like
was
that?
I got obsessed with the music from Schindler's List.
That's cool too.
I would play the score from Schindler's List a lot.
At the mall?
What mall were you at?
Like people will be on dates going on the Ferris wheel, and I'd be playing
The mall
Why
walkers, like the
Schindler's
elderly
List?
mall walkers,
Yeah.
loved you.
yeah.
And Drake Bell was like,
Yeah.
"This is my type of kid."
Rewatch that movie and should not have been playing that music.
No, it's so funny. Yeah, you would think you were just like, I think we're alone now, like Tiffany or something at the mall. That's what they did, right?
I would play the entire score for Phantom, songs from Schindler's List. Then I remember I played
Were
the
you trying
entire
to get
score.
him not to shop or something?
I thought that's what the people wanted to hear.
Did they
because I was a
surround
strange
you?
child. Like I listened to this, I think I was listening to Genesis and Steely Dan and Bill Evans.
All great.
A lot of musicals. I played the entire score for Fiddler.
So great.
Yeah.
The entire score.
I would just play the
wow.
entire score of Fam, the entire score of Fiddler, the entire score from Cats.
So,
Because I thought that's what I was into musicals. I thought that's what everyone was into. So
Did you get people coming up to you giving you tips and stuff?
make
Or
very good tips, usually from the
Really?
elderly.
the elderly love that. And you were like an adorable kid, and they're just like, you know the music of my time. Well, I guess that's not their time, probably, if they were elderly.
I mean, I did play T for Two.
Oh, they love that.
I mean, that's really neat to be able to like really pick up on music, because some people it takes a while, but it just clicked for you. And what do you think do you think it's because of practice, or do you think it's just like something like, are you a musician family?
Not
Or
really.
do you have any magicians in your family?
What the hell's happening?
I wish I had a magician in my family.
I'm asking an intelligent question.
Now you must do music.
So
It's a rabbit. Now you must do Phantom of Opera.
What is this, Harry Potter?
so we what was the question again?
Oh,
Did you do magic as a boy? No,
I
I don't know how. What was the question? I can't really gather that question.
Oh, it was about so the way I feel about music is it's like learning a language.
Yeah.
Anyone can learn English and work as a writer. Anyone can learn Italian and work as a writer, or Spanish, or whatever language it may be. The question is do you have something to say? Are you interesting? Do you have a good story? Musically speaking, I think I could teach you everything I know in 2 years. It's not that crazy. It's not that difficult. Everything I know about mixing records, I could teach you in 6 months. But do you have a good story to tell? Like you could teach someone how to format a script, and you could teach them how to write a script properly. But can you teach them to write a good story? That's that je ne sais quoi thing. And I think that I was very musically inspired. And I just had all these songs in my head and was trying to figure out how to put those songs out.
Wow, that's so cool. I really admire that, and it's really inspiring, man. That's awesome.
Oh, thanks.
It's really cool. So
that was a fist bump for those of you listening.
After Nickelodeon, you're working. And how long was the Drake Bell band happening?
It ended pretty badly.
Oh God!
His dad managed the band, and then Drake got emancipated, and things happened because Nickelodeon/children.
Yeah, that's rough.
So I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll go to college.
Yeah,
and
that's when you went to Chicago.
So my grandmother was an actress, and she had a group of elderly actors called the Geriactors.
I read about this,
and they were. Where'd you read all this? I didn't know this much information about me was
he's
online.
Nardwuar on the side.
You did a Voyage LA interview that I read.
I forgot about that.
To prep for the
Geriactors.
Yeah, and they
really
were
funny.
like 60-plus-year-old improvisers. So I played for a lot of elderly improv, and then went to Chicago because I loved improv too and loved jazz, and one thing led to another. And I got hired by Second City just before I turned 19.
Did you get hired for Second City before I.O.? I think you did, right?
I did. It was I was taking the dumbest class. It was philosophical issues in film.
I know that class really good.
Yeah, we just watched Quainascotsy and I was like, that was sad. Yes.
Yeah.
Things are bad in the world. Yeah. But one of the cousin of Seth Thomas, if you remember him,
of course,
was like, hey, my cousin's doing a show and they need a piano player for the show. And it was the first DeMott showcase.
Oh, wow.
So they hired me to play for it, and I was massively underqualified, even though I was almost qualified. And I figured that I would get fired from Second City. So I just started going to Second City during my lunch breaks after work because I figured for this magical month that I could go to Second City for free, I just had to go there. And I started going there so much and being there that they were like, oh, you want to sub for ETC since you're here? Oh, do you want to sub for Torco? Oh, can you do this flyout day? And I just started getting all these calls and just never left.
Who were some of the people you worked with when did you work with Keenan, Michael Key and all them? Was that the ETC you did?
Yep.
And Jen Bills?
Oh, yeah.
Who else? I'm trying to think of who else was around. So
you played piano for them, or you?
Yeah.
For their shows, yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele?
For Key and Peele?
Yeah, Jordan was at Boom Chicago then, but
that's right.
I played for a bunch of his shows, and I met him because when they did an exchange with Boom Chicago, they put them all up in the Columbia dorms.
Oh, that's so
it's
funny.
Like, who's this? Jordan's like just a few years older than me, but when you're 18 or 19, like, who's this adult person in the dorms?
Yeah.
And then you see them at Second City, and then wound up playing for Jordan shows, and then wound up on an improv team years later with Jordan Peele, Scott Rogers, Colton Dunn, and Heather Ann Campbell called Blueberry Canadian Holocaust.
Because they were all Boom, right? Or Colton Dunn was Boom Chicago guy.
Yeah, he was.
Was that here when you did that?
Yeah.
Oh,
that was
okay, that's
here.
cool.
And then it was a music improv that we did UCB for years out here.
That's right.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, he. I remember you were always doing the music for like all of those, and then you would, besides that, do music for like every theater, right? Like
like Ron Lynch's show.
Yeah,
and
love Ron Lynch's show. And I met you at
Yeah.
Mortified.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which I scored that TV show movie as well.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you did Mortified. I was like, who's this guy? He's the funniest person in the room. Without
Oh, thank you.
He's a funny man. Noise.
Yeah.
Mortified is where
Noise.
you share your, if you want, you should say, because you were the one doing it. I just played music for it. What Mortified is?
Oh yeah. Mortified is
besides being the competitor
where
podcast.
you share journal stories from high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. So you're just so talented, man. So you've worked with so many incredible musicians, including Bob Dylan. I mean, what was that like? How did that come about?
So I auditioned when I first moved here to be Robert Townsend's musical director. And I met this guy, Eben Schletter, who's the composer from SpongeBob SquarePants.
Very cool.
Which we actually wound up doing the pilot along with Grant Lee Phillips. But Eben's an amazing theremin player. He learned theremin writing the music for SpongeBob SquarePants. So we started a vibraphone theremin duo. We were playing at Bardot, and then Zach Shields and Ryan Gosling saw us play and asked us to record and play on their record and in their band, which was Dead Man's Bones.
Whoa.
So we opened for and played and recorded with Dead Man's Bones, which was an amazing, weird Halloween-themed band, which I loved. And then Alma was in that band as well, or she sang in the choir, who's gone on to be a huge director. She did Honey Boy and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Bob Dylan saw Honey Boy, loved the movie, and wanted Alma to direct his concert film. And then Alma said, hey, Bob wants a younger band. Do you know anyone to Zach Shields? And Zach was like, oh, remember Alex? Played accordion with Dead Man's Bones and Vibes and stuff. And then that's how I wound up playing with Dylan.
How long did you play with Dylan? Or do you still play with him everyone?
It was just 1 month.
1 month. Did you tour with him?
No, we did a concert film.
So you were in the film and everything. That's really cool.
It was the only bummer about it was during the pandemic, so we're all masked. Except for him.
That sucks.
But I'm in his jacket for the new record. You can see me, masked up playing accordion with him. Which
That is really cool.
That's so cool.
Immortalized in a Dylan vinyl.
What was it like playing with Bob Dylan? Like, was your mind like were you just like, whoa? Like, what was going through your mind? Because that's he's like the king,
It was bizarre. You figure out quickly why he has the greatest bands in the world, because the secret to music, and it's probably similar with acting, or I think it is, it's about being 100% present. You learn the music, you know what you're going to do, but it's just about being present and in the moment. And people always ask me what my favorite genre is to play, and I would say I don't care. I just want to play with musicians who are present and in the moment. And Dylan's a wild animal. You don't know what he's going to do. And the whole band, and I've worked with bands at this level before, but everyone's being present, but personally to themselves. And I've never been with a group of people at that level who are present with a singular focus. Our job is to be present and follow this person.
Yeah,
and
right.
You don't know what he's about to do. And this level of being present with other people with a singular focus was one of the most magical experiences I've ever had.
That's great.
That's so cool.
And he's a Minnesota man, first of all, where I'm from. I think he didn't like it after a while, but so you followed his lead. So you had to go off of, if he did something, I don't know if I want to say eccentric, but if he just mixed it up, you had to follow that lead, right? Is that what, it's pretty interesting.
And, the stuff was pre-recorded, but in between everything, he just wanted to jam nonstop. So it was just like jamming with him again and again and again and again and again.
God.
Yeah, and how old was he during the pandemic? I mean,
81?
That's impressive on its own.
What I love is he had an assistant who would show up every day before he got there, who very tall and dressed like a cowboy with a southern drawl.
That's great.
He'd be like, I got a friend coming. Some of you might recognize him. Some of you might not. You're not allowed to talk about the past. You're not allowed to talk about the future. You're not allowed to wish him happy birthday or say how much you love his art. But you can talk about anything about the present.
Anything about the present, but you can't say he doesn't like any of the past or
because what are you going to say? Tell him your song saved my life. It got me through.
He doesn't want to hear
thing.
that. He's heard it so many times.
But nothing about the present is off limits.
So hey, the weather out there. He's 80, so
was
it's
all I
all
talked
weather.
about. It was all weather related.
Yeah, he's just an 80. What? You ever see the game's coming? It's future.
Did he have any weird quirks or anything
That one's kind of strange, I suppose. You can't look at the past. But
Yeah. Besides that, but did he I don't know.
Did he dress in all white makeup like he did when he went off the grid?
That's probably for another time.
Okay.
What other? You toured with Billy Ray Cyrus as well, and you who did Miley? Did you do anything with her or just the dad?
I record on tracks she sang on.
Yeah,
Wrecking Ball
and Noah. No, but that song's about me.
Yeah. So you worked with him, and did you tour with him? There was another person you've toured with a lot of bands that were
Ferris. I toured with for a while.
That you just kind of. I remember like bumping into you and you'd be like, "Oh, I just got off tour with a bunch of different people."
I
Every
did
time.
Engelbert Humperdinck for a hot second.
That's really cool.
That was a weird one.
And Bruce Springsteen. What's
Yeah,
up with
I just
Bruce?
recorded on a new record.
That's
for him.
insane too.
Whoa.
Never met him.
But you recorded on his album, which
Yeah.
is cool.
Yeah, went to the. They left before the vibraphone overdubs.
Oh, okay. He was out of there.
But Eric Warfane wrote some of the most incredible orchestral arrangements. I got my undergrad degree in jazz vibraphone because I wanted a sustainable living.
That's right. That's what you do when you want to make if you want to go safe.
Yeah.
You got to be safe with that.
I didn't even double on marimba or timpani. I'm like, nope, just vibraphone.
That's really
Wow.
funny.
Bruce Springsteen.
But
so cool.
yeah, Eric Warfane wrote some of the most incredible arrangements. Ross Hogarth, who's multi-Grammy winning engineer, who is one of my favorites, did everything from Van Halen to that Kev Mo Taj Mahal record was engineering.
That's
Whoa.
cool.
And yeah, got to park in his spot because he had left. So yeah, the best parking in the
He should. That'd be funny if he had to walk a block. Yeah, just you're not gonna make him walk.
It's weird because I've gone to record because I have a remote studio with a lot of my heroes, like record with Fiona Apple,
So great.
Sia,
So great.
Dionne Warwick, and never met them.
So you never met? Have you never met any of them?
Fiona, I've met briefly, but I was so excited to record on this Dionne Warwick record, and they're like, "Here's the track, record, send it back." It's like, but
I want to meet.
Can I come in?
Yeah.
Can I please come in?
Oh
Can
my
I-
God.
Can I be a part
I've
of
worked with Bob Dylan, for Christ's sake.
I got to do that in person. I mean, I recorded with Avril Lavigne. That was another Ramon one.
Whoa.
That's a cool
But
one.
there have been so many things where it's like, people look at my credits and ask about, like, tell me an Avril story, tell me this story. I'm like, their manager was great on email.
Yeah,
Very-
right.
Very lovely. When I first started, so I'm 40, when I first started in the industry, you went to a recording studio, you told them what instruments you wanted, and they just had everything for you. It's great. Now we're expected to own everything ourselves.
Oh gosh.
Own all the recording gear, and then they tell us what they want and we send it in.
Oh, wow.
It's very rare they'll even rent things for us.
When did that change? Was it
The pandemic.
post or was it pandemic really changed it?
No, it was shortly after the Wall Street crash of 07 or 08. I always forget the year.
Okay.
That
Okay.
when people
When did you move back to LA from Chicago then? What?
just shy of 06.
Okay.
But I kind of didn't tell a lot of people I left. So I kept going back to Chicago to do things.
Well, the thing about you with Chicago and just kind of leaving is you were on tour probably with Tourco, which is Second City's touring company. And so you were in and out anyway doing music and stuff. So for you to leave, it was probably pretty easy transition.
I mean, I never wanted to leave Chicago.
I didn't either. I love Chicago.
I cried when I left and was so upset.
I did
Oh,
too.
I'm sorry, buddy.
I mean, if I could do what I do here in Chicago, I'd move back in a second.
Oh,
It is a great city. Have you been? You've been.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
sister lives there.
Yeah.
Has she tried to get you to move?
No. But
She
yeah, it's
doesn't like
beautiful.
Maddie. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm sure she
no,
loves
she
him.
loves me very much. So that's so cool. So you've worked with so many musicians, which is incredible.
Actors and like
actors
entertainment
and
people.
just,
All the
so many people, and so you compose movie and TVs. What's that like? Well, like Iron Man 3. How did that come about?
That was just a song.
Hey, that's
essentially-
more than a song than I have in the Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much. My God.
You wrote the song.
Yeah, I co-wrote it.
Whoa.
So, but that was essentially Iron Man 3, which I've only seen the last 20 minutes of because I told you how I am about Marvel.
Yeah.
All the Marvel and Star Wars movies, I just go to the last 20 minutes of after I've seen another movie because I just want to see explosions. I don't really care about the
That's
story.
really funny.
I'm like, it's just leading up to the explosion. Like,
Yeah.
what else do I need to know? He's a superhero. He's just waiting for him to blow things up at the
Yeah,
end.
they don't need to see them be sassy at a restaurant and
then-
throw through the windows and
And occasionally, if I get really confused, I will call Sean Gallady and be like, explain Star Wars 3 to me.
that's my old roommate, Goth. The Goth guy. He likes Star Wars, all that stuff. And Ouija boards. He had so many Which made Ouija boards.
I hope he's okay.
Really?
No, he's fine, I think. I don't
His
know.
wife is so confused about how mellow he is when she hears stories about his past.
A lot of pleather and leather everywhere you look.
Yeah.
Laying in the living room, pleather pants.
What I was confused about was why they were always in the living room.
He loved it. Well, he had a very small... we'll explain Sean Gowdy. We have said that he's Gothic, but he lived in a little closet, so he was mostly in the living room. So he just had a closet, and he like slept around Ouija boards and swords.
Oh my god!
And then he would just watch TV in the living room and live in there and throw his clothes around.
Sounds like a fun guy.
Hey, he was wild,
he was
baby.
great.
No, yeah, that's awesome. So
He's a good guy.
So yeah, tell us Iron Man 3. What was that?
So I had worked with Mr. Little Jeans, really amazing band, and essentially for Iron Man 3, it takes place during Christmas and there's no songs in the movie. And Hollywood Records realized that they could market a record.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, we're going to go out to, Mr. Little Jeans had just started to break, Imagine Dragons, AWOL Nation, and like, hey, write some songs that could be Iron Man 3 inspired by the motion picture. For those of you who can't see at home, I'm doing air quotes. And so we essentially like put in lyrics about like armor being broken, like, so it's essentially like a love song, like, yo, you broke through my armor in my heart, like stuff like
I
that.
love that.
So you just find out, it's years of doing Baby Wants Candy has really helped.
That's a Baby Wants Candy is an improvised musical show. I think it started in Chicago. There is one here as well, and that's what he's talking about because everything's improvised, it's flying off the cuff.
Wow.
FYI.
Yeah, you learn to write music very fast. It's like,
Yeah.
Wow.
That's one thing that Alex has that's like above and beyond others is his ability to improvise because he, unlike a lot of musicians who have to learn how to improvise, you went and you did it at a young age. You moved to Chicago, studied improvising as an actor, and I'm sure that just gives you like
well, and when we say
a huge up on
well,
a
and
lot of
when we
things.
say improvise, every musician knows how to solo. We don't need to improvise like that. It's like watching a scene and immediately knowing what to score during the scene. And oftentimes, if I'm scoring films, I love to have the directors in the room during the first pass and play live with them like an improv show. And say, even if the timbre is going to change, like, oh, it won't be a piano, it'll be more this instrument or that instrument, to still play with piano and say, like, hey, what's the point of view? Like, we do the close-up of the protagonist right here. Do we play their internal thoughts? Do we play to where the story is actually going? And to have these very strong conversations.
Right.
Also with film, what I love is I like to compose around the budget as opposed to going wild.
Which is also a good idea.
Well, films are now a package deal. So you get paid X amount and you're essentially the music department as opposed to saying what you want and trying to get it from the studio. So a lot of film composers are like, well, John Williams orchestra, that's what we're doing. And to me, it makes a film sound cheap and fake. Like Birdman's just solo drums, it sounds huge. So oftentimes, based on the budget, I love to compose around the score and make the score sound huge and make really cool choices. I did a movie that Am Mervis's directorial debut. He wrote 21 Bridges and National Champions called The Last Days of Capitalism. And there wasn't a big budget, and it takes place in Vegas, and people are doing a lot of coke. And I'm friends with Sarah Reich, who's one of the best tap dancers in the world. So
That's
it's like,
cool.
hey, what if we do tap dance synthesizer? What if that's the score? Because that feels very Vegas-y to me. And to try to compose the score based around the budget as opposed to pushing farther, it just makes the score sound cheap. And I love recording, I love engineering, and based on how you record a piano, it was actually something I learned from recording with Billy Ray. The engineer, producer Brandon, put a single SM57. The piano was this 9-foot Bosendorf, and was like, "Hey, play like an asshole, play big, play crazy, play all over the place." That piano, that mic will pick up. It won't pick up a lot of the transients, and it'll make the piano sound very thin, so you'll never get in the way of the track, even though it's a busy track. And then for the hook, he put a couple, C12s and U67s around the piano inside. And for those of you who don't know, those are two mics which have a huge sound, and they pick up all these harmonics.
Yeah,
and,
I know that. I know
frequencies. and he had me play only the single note melodies in the hook because of how much sonic room it takes up. So one of the things I love about composing is, when you grow up, you're reading, Rimsky-Korsakov's books of orchestrations and Ravel's, and they talk about how to compose and arrange because, what instruments cut through. Like if woodwinds sustain when people are playing fortissimo, which is loud, you won't hear the woodwinds and they just turn into a texture. But if woodwinds have a really sharp attack, so a flute or a piccolo, if it's arpeggiating, no matter how loud something is, you'll hear them over it because they're arpeggiating. So what I love to do is, in terms of sonic mixing, I love to think about that kind of classical orchestration as I record my instruments as well. So make the piano a little bit thinner, and you can mess with it to be a little bit more piccolo-esque, so it'll go over things. Also, what's beautiful about miking is you can have one of my favorite things, and when I produce records too, is when the band's playing really powerfully and loud, to have the singer sing very softly and beautifully. Because we have the ability with microphones to take a very soft, pretty vocal and push it forward. It's like the Billie Eilish thing. She's singing this loudly on top of really pounding, powerful music. And that creates this like intensity mixed with this intimacy. And you can do that with instrumentation as well.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So it's almost like being a DP as well. So when I'm, sonically, so when I'm composing, I'm thinking of how I want to record and mic things just as much as I'm thinking of the texture and timbre of the instruments.
That's incredible.
That's great.
And how do these composer jobs come about? Like, do you have an agent, or how does that work?
I don't know how I get them.
Really?
Word of mouth. It's all word of
It's all
mouth.
word of mouth. I have an amazing manager, Jason, and a lawyer. And things just kind of happen. Like I was in Dead Man's Bones, as I said, and I sat down at a party at Monique's house, the lead singer, say Ferris, and the guy just turned to me, John Schnitzer's like, "Do you know anyone in Dead Man's Bones?" I'm like, I'm in Dead Man's Bones. Why are you asking? He's like, "Are you joking with me? I'm scoring a movie and I'm directing a film. I wanted Dead Man's Bones in the thing, and there's a musician party." And one thing led to another. I wound up music supervising.
I'm in it.
And co-composing.
You're in it?
No, he's in it. It's funny that
okay.
it's funny. The guy was like, "Do you know anybody in this band?" He's like, "Yeah, me."
But like things just kind of happen.
Sure.
Whenever I cold call for jobs, I don't like auditioning for films. I will spec for a movie, which means if you're like, "Hey, I'm debating between you and this other composer," because what I say is it's like every composer is amazing. But it's like, do you want Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise to star in your movie? They'll both kill it, but it'll be a completely different movie.
That's true.
Yeah.
And composers are the same way. If you're debating between me and a few other people, I will audition for it.
Oh, you have to audition. What is that process?
It's called speccing, and
specking.
They'll give you a scene and just say like, "Hey, how would you score this?"
Okay.
I won't do open casting or cattle calls because then it's essentially that's when the director doesn't know what they want, and they're just trying to come up with ideas, or they don't know how to express what's in their head and they're hoping someone's going to guess.
Right.
But if you're debating between me and a few people, would love to audition. But otherwise, there's a lot of open calls, which I won't do.
This is something too about Alex. Known him long time. Alex kind of has this like magical comfortability with people, and people want to be around him, and then people always ask him to do things. So he's always been a person that I've witnessed that has always had like an interesting thing that you're doing, because I think you're just, first of all, you're there, you show up to places, you're a social guy. But I also think that you just have a lot of people it's like a lot of people like have this magical vibe.
Yeah,
and
very
honestly,
open. Yeah,
but
you're
I feel
very
like you
open
do
person.
have like this thing where people are drawn to you, or it's just something that not maybe like you were one of the only people maybe I do know that has like this thing where it's like it's just your vibe is like very I don't know
noise.
I don't know how to explain it.
that should be my bio. Well,
but-
what I can tell you is I'm the biggest super fan in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's true. He is a fan of others, and he's supportive, and he is not afraid to be like, "You're awesome." And then that person's like, "What do you do?" "I do this." you're awesome too, and then you collaborate.
Well,
that
and
is true.
well, there's two things. A is
No, I'll tell you about you. I tell you about you.
Aw,
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
well, on the next episode, I definitely want to just talk about how much I love the two of you and all the
Oh,
reasons
you're
why.
a gentleman.
Yeah, not good with this many compliments.
No, don't worry about it. You didn't get it. I was just talking.
Oh, thank you. But pretty much, I'm the biggest fan of improv, biggest fan of film, biggest fan of comedy and music and all those things. So for me, like the Springsteen, for example, Springsteen might not have been there, but I'm like, oh my God, I got to work with Roz Ogard. Like,
Of course.
I'm obsessed with you. Like, I use all your plugins and this and that. Like, Eric Warfing, Section Quartet. Like, it's not I just don't know the big people. I love film and music, and to get to be in the same room with all these people. Like, I saw the people I get starstruck about are, not the same the most would, but like, I almost started crying when I saw Pino Palladino walk by. He's the bass player with D'Angelo.
Which is amazing.
And D'Angelo, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. But I steal so much from Pino. I'm like, oh my God,
You're
it's
the
you.
one. Yeah.
It's you. So like, I really love it so much. I get excited. And also the way I try to network is by getting all my friends jobs.
Yeah. I also don't even want to. I think that's limiting you with the word network, because I think you're just a gentleman. So I don't even know if you are networking. You're just friendly and try to get, like you said, try to get people jobs.
Well, but that's my whole vibe.
I am going to tell you. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like getting every job I've gone has been from friends.
Mm-hmm.
And my feeling is like, just keep, like paying it forward and it'll come back. So if I'm at a
that's
event,
smart.
or there's a networking thing that I don't like networking things. I don't like going to networking events, but if I get thrown in them, I'm always my MO is always to help out friends, to get friends
awesome.
jobs, to get friends books. I'm like, it'll just work out. If my friends work, I'll work.
Yeah. Even if you're at a networking event, I would never classify you as somebody that's networking. You know what I mean?
And it's usually because I'm forced to go.
Yeah, and you're you're down to hang. You don't just hang with you just hang out with everybody. You're like nice to everybody. How many instruments do you play, Alex? Do you even know? I mean, there's so many.
I mean, I will lie and tell you I play any instrument you ask me to play.
Yeah.
I got drunk in an argument with a friend, and that I could play mandolin at the Grand Ole Opry in a month when I got there with Billy. Bought a mandolin.
Did you play the Grand Ole Opry?
Yeah. And
my God.
I played mandolin, and at the end of the gig, some old guy walked up to me and goes, "You're either a genius or you don't know what you're doing," and I can't tell. Because
That's amazing.
The way I was
Who
like,
was this old man?
no idea.
That's really funny.
Hi, Ricky
But-
Skaggs.
The way you were playing it, or
It didn't make sense if you're not a mandolin player. Because the way I would voice things, but I'm like, okay, it's in fifths. I could do it like this. I could do this. So my voicings were so bizarre if you play mandolin.
Can you imagine? He played the Grand Ole Opry. Did you play the Ryman, or did you play like the big guy, the new one? Isn't it called Ryman or Ramen?
I play the Ryman.
Oh my God!
wow.
Do you know? Have you ever been there?
No.
I've been to the Grand Ole Opry. I've been to the Ryman. I saw Old Crow Medicine Show play.
They are so good.
They are so good. But it's just amazing that you played such an iconic stage. What are other stage? I know this is a long. Who cares if it's long? We're having a good time. What other iconic stages or venues have you played that you loved?
Believe it or not, Troubadours and Largo.
Those
Los
are
Angeles.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Largo feels like the most special place in the world.
Yeah.
And the Troubadour, I love that vibe. I played halftime in NASCAR. That was a wild one.
Oh my God.
Whoa. Halftime at NASCAR.
Yeah.
How many people are at halftime at masquerades? NASCAR.
Ooh, if you
NASCAR.
combine a masquerade party at
No,
NASCAR, that would
NASCAR. I will not offend the racing community.
be, like 80,000, I think.
Jeez.
That was.
Wow.
I did the MTV Movie Awards. That was live at the Gibson, I believe.
That's really cool. What one did you do? Did you do a few of them or?
When Sudeikis hosted.
Okay.
Him and POB brought me in. Mike O'Brien.
Are
Wow.
you're friends with both of them?
Yeah.
You know, I knew you were friends with Mike, but I didn't know about Sudeikis. But
So-
he knows everybody. You know.
Yeah, that was
That's
a.
so cool.
that
What
was
did you play for the awards?
Keyboards. I had to think about
Did
it.
Mike O'Brien write for that or something, or how did he get involved?
So my two of my biggest breaks that was in like a decade ago, were because of Craig Robinson not being available.
Oh, really?
because we passed for each other.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Yeah, when I see you, I see Craig.
So Craig moved to L.A. and that's how I got the gig at Second City.
Oh, was that true? So he was a
MD.
Chicago guy for a
He
while?
was a Chicago guy. He left right before us.
I did not know Craig Robinson. Did he do improv in Second City and
because
all
he
that?
could play piano, he was playing piano for the shows, and they wouldn't hire him to act because they were so short on piano players. So he's like, screw this, going to L.A. And then he was doing Hot Tub Time Machine 2 or 1, I forget. I'm bad at years. One of the Hot Tub Time Machines, and filming ran long, and that's why he couldn't make the MTV Movie Awards.
And you did it.
And so, like, two of my biggest breaks were because Craig wasn't available.
Thank you, Craig, by the way. That is so great, man. That's so cool.
That's awesome. So that's so cool. What other things are you working on now that you're stoked about that you can talk about?
I'm doing a musical.
Wow.
We were at Northwestern all summer workshopping it. I'm going back to Chicago to put it up.
That's great.
Whoa.
Working with a choreographer on dance. And then we're going to do off-Broadway. We have some amazing Broadway producers late this year. And if it does well, we will go to Broadway, which is crazy.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And I'm kind of gone full circle after doing all this crazy rock.
That's what I was going to say.
Musicals.
When you were a kid, you did musicals, and now you're back, Jack.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. You're living the dream, man.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm doing another pitching a musical TV show with my friends Deb Vogt, who co-wrote the musical with me. She wrote the book and co-wrote lyrics. And then Richard Fairgray, who I wrote that children's book with.
Jeez.
And then-
the children's book. See, he keeps
Yeah.
going.
Man,
That's the thing
you're
with
a
Alex is he will
Renaissance man.
keep going.
Yeah, the secret is I never stop.
That's awesome.
I don't have any hobbies because all I do is write and play music.
How
And
often do you sleep? What's your sleep schedule?
So I'm a weirdo. I'm angry every night when I have to go to sleep.
What time?
I don't want to go to sleep. I mean, whenever I pass out I go to sleep between 10
So you just
p.m.
pass
and
out on the
6 a.m.
keyboards?
What time do you wake up?
Between 9 and 12.
So you definitely
But
are a night owl, but you also, because you're always going.
But like, I don't want to stop. Like every time I have to go to bed, I feel like I failed because I want to stay up and keep going. But then in the morning, I never want to get out of bed.
Do you watch
so it's that,
TV?
like, because it's so comfy.
What do you do when you're just relaxed? Do you have like a TV show you like, or
I don't own a TV.
I knew that. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, there's no TVs here.
Wow.
It's annoying because I'll put on TV when I work, but then I tend not to watch TV shows that are too good because they distract me from work. Like I keep trying to watch.
Smart.
I keep trying to watch Atlanta, but I like it so much I stop watching it.
So smart.
So I watch the Dusk Till Dawn series instead.
Which helps. What makes you just kind of something that's on.
Oh, it's one of the worst shows ever made, but it's fascinatingly bad.
I think that is inspiring me. I don't think I would need TV. That's too much, all this TV.
Or if it is a show I like Fleabag, I'll watch it like 5 times on a loop just while I'm working, and I'll slowly pick up the whole show.
Yeah, but I'm always watching 90 Day Fiance. Something's on in my house. There's always something that you like. Little People, Big World. Any of these shows, Hoarders.
Well, that's when I'm trying to watch less TV and play more music and stuff like that because I love learning music. It's incredible.
Oh, it's great.
So, as a new musician myself, what advice would you give other musicians or future composers? What advice would you give them just to kind of wrap the interview?
Oh, it's not fun. The act of learning music is not fun. At least for me, it's terrible. I wish someone was that honest with me.
Yeah.
But it's like getting a 6-pack. I don't believe anyone enjoys getting a 6-pack. If they say they enjoy it, they're lying to you. But having one's great.
You mean on your own, just sitting around by yourself,
Like a
having
beer or a six-pack of
Like a
one?
Oh, I thought you were talking about beer.
No,
and I was
no,
like,
no,
I feel
no,
like
no.
people like those 6-packs.
No,
Talking
there
about your
were
belly there.
no, but there were years in my life that I did nothing except memorize every single chord, every single scale. People say they don't like doing it because it puts you in a box, and it will put you in a box for a moment. But once you learn it all, it'll explode and become limitless. And it's just like learning a new language. You get to a point where there's going to be a year of your life where you're just going to have to memorize every chord in all inversions, every scale in all inversions. It's just going to be terrible, and fight through it. Because once you get through that, and it'll take you about a year,
Wait. I'm going to say this. It'll take somebody like him about a year.
Oh,
it could take you never. And that's the truth.
No, that's not true. It
is.
It took me more time than most people I know.
Well, yeah, because you might be a perfectionist, but most of these idiots watching, they're not doing what you're doing.
Well, the problem that I had, because I was like a borderline prodigy kid.
That's right.
So people didn't teach me all of these basic things. So then in my early 20s, I hit this horrible wall and I had to go back and learn all of these basics.
Oh, okay. And so you learned the basics and then that's when it kind of took off even more for you?
Yeah. And it took me, especially like it took me longer than most people because, I'm hyper and ADD and like get distracted easy and just like to memorize all of those scales, I think actually did truly take me longer. I had the facility to naturally play faster than most people, but to learn all that stuff and memorize it took me much longer than other people. But I find that once you can, be a musician on the Titanic while it's sinking and still play all the chords in every inversion and know them, be able to play all your scales, it'll just go and be limitless. And then the other thing is be present and listen. The hardest thing I think about existence at the moment is being present because of I even had to check my cell phone.
Quote the man Bob Dylan himself. He only wanted to speak in present terms.
Yeah, and I find that when I compose, when I play, just the act of being present, the act of focusing and being in the moment is the most difficult thing. And I find that the older I get not because of getting older, but because of the way society is and technology, being present is harder and harder. I think the reason why improv comedy is so necessary and stand-up and all this live stuff is we almost get off watching a group of people be present. That it's something that's inspiring that we need.
Yeah, that is true, and it's less edited because even our reality TV and our picture, our shows we watch or our videos we watch, it's somebody not being present. It's somebody like perfecting their brand, even people we don't think have a brand because they're. Anyways, I don't know what I'm.
Yeah, what are you saying?
But I see what you're saying. That makes sense because these live shows, it's somebody on stage doing something in the present sense. They're doing something we're watching them do.
And what's hard is because you're being filmed. To not stop and be like, is this a good angle? Is this? I need to look more at the person filming to just be purely in the moment. And I find with composing or playing on records, it's easy for me to be present with other people around. Like with you two here and you guys filming, being present is very easy for me. But when I'm in the room by myself and I need to compose or, that Dionne Warwick track comes in and I need to play on it, how do you not get in your head and be present when you're essentially self-taping your performance with Dionne Warwick? Yeah. Like, how do you be present for that?
You don't want to send it, and you have to keep guessing. How do you do that? How do you just say it's time to send? I can't keep editing or this and that. It's time. This is a done track. How do you do that?
Not easily.
Yeah, especially.
Well, what I like to do when I send tracks is give them 3 to 5 performances, and I will do this for the exact same price as one.
Sure.
But some people want a perfectly edited track. What I love is to give a few performances that are all in the moment, where I can just like learn the song and really get, and then just like loop things and go. And what I will do is loop it. And I find if I give more than 3 takes, people will get overwhelmed with options. But I'll keep recording myself until I find that I start getting worse. And that's when I stop. But I like to let them pick things because when things are perfected within the inch of their life, people don't like them anymore. Like I forget what Bowie song, the bass player makes a bunch of mistakes. And he jumps to the chorus early and it might be Rebel Rebel, I can't remember. But and you love it. Like, you want that thing where like the best scenes in films feel like moments that are just captured, where if they had pushed play 1 second earlier, 1 second later, or yelled action, it would be a completely different performance.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do.
I love that stuff.
I'd rather give you a moment and then let you edit it and like have a conversation where like, what do you want on the bridge? What do you want on the chorus? What do you want on the verse? Are you looking more for hooks? Like get direction. and then give them a few takes where they can pick their moments, as opposed to if I have to edit the performance for them, that's when it doesn't go well, because I'll start perfecting everything.
Right.
Or if I can give them 3 takes, I know I can give them 3 great takes. But if I'm choosing which verse to go with, that's when I'll start pushing and moving and sliding.
Well, that's I also like this is so it's just certain songs you can listen to, and you're like, that wasn't meant to be there. That sound was not in, there's a different sound that has nothing to do with the music, the rhyme, anything that's happening, but there's just like a clash, but it's just there. Somebody dropped a record or something, and it just sounds perfect for that situation. And I love that with different songs, and when you just like, how did that come about? Oh, I dropped a record and we liked it.
The records that I can listen to forever are the ones I can't memorize.
Yeah.
Like that Phoebe Bridgers record, I cannot memorize what she did. And that's like, there's always something that sticks out. I think the reason why people love vintage and analog gear, it's the new keyboards they're making are just as good, if not better, than the vintage analog stuff. But there's like an unhinged quality where the tuning drifts a little bit. And the oscillator might like be a little wonky in this register as opposed to that register because they haven't been perfect. So it feels alive to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when
authentic.
they made a self-tuning guitar and it didn't sound good.
Right.
That's funny. Yeah.
So you're incredible. We're so lucky to be able to interview
thank you so
man.
much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I learned a lot, and learning, being a composer and a musician, it's not rocket science, folks.
Oh, there's one thing I want to add to it. Actually, one more bit of advice. The only difference between me and you being the composer I've never met before, is I can probably write 10 times faster than you, but it doesn't mean I'll write something better than you. All I do when I write is play I can figure out what's in my head instantly. It might take you a month to figure out what's in your head, but that might be a better song than I'll ever write in my life. So it's just about that follow through and finishing it.
Well, it's it's like the Ramones were not trained musicians. They just wrote music, or same with the Sex Pistols. All these people just do it. Can we work on a quick tune or something, like harmonize?
Yeah, and
is that all right?
Well, before we do that, where can people find you?
I put his address on his house. Remember?
And don't forget my social security.
That's right.
Yes.
I got it all for him. Nice.
Date of birth. AlexanderBurke.com is my website. Burke.Alexander is my Instagram. That's pretty much everything.
Great. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. And Spotify probably, right?
I'm only on Spotify for other people's projects. I'm finally working on my first solo record, which is way overdue.
Dude. Yes. That's awesome. Well, stay tuned for that, folks. But
I just made Alex punch a can. I'm so sorry.
It felt very strong.
Yes. Everyone was celebrating. I was like, just punch this can.
But yeah, you want to sing a little tune to...
Can we?
It's a better place for me and for I. But he will be here, and so will be me. Heal the world.
Yeah, A minor FC.
Oh, FC.
So it'd be like...
My Uncle Leroy wasn't here. Daddy, you're the one to blame for my name, Calabondea. Band-Aids are 1 and 2. Put it on when you got boo-boo. Because I didn't want a child, and I sat and looked with tears, sitting with Dad a couple beers, and all he said before he died was that's the reason that I lied. I had more children than I say. It was more like 58, John. just like a freak. If you wouldn't have done that, Daddy, this song wouldn't have existed. And for that, I thank you. Sounds like a freaking like a scary movie.
Oh, I've used this in so many horror films.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like,
Nice song.
I mean, that's all you need.
It's not rocket science.
Not rocket science. Science. Not rocket science.
It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science.